They got this guy, deranged Jack Smith, a lunatic, and they put him in because he was the meanest prosecutor you could find. He was sort of a failed prosecutor because he failed he'd fail because he'd always go too far. And now he really went too far. And we'll see.
President Trump and Republican lawmakers are urging the Department of Justice to investigate former special counsel Jack Smith. They claim Smith's investigative team illegally monitored communications from nearly a dozen Republican senators as part of Smith's investigations into President Trump. At least 4 senators are calling for Smith to be investigated and potentially disbarred. Let's bring in former federal prosecutor Andrew Cherkasky. Andrew, you know the allegations here. There are 4 senators who signed a letter saying that Jack Smith wanted to asked the FBI to monitor their communications, their cell phone records. Have you ever heard of anything like this? And what kind of legal basis did he have for such a request?
Well, Jack Smith is begging, I think, for this to have happened. When we go back and we look at all of the warnings that he had before he was ever involved, that this was clearly something that was a politically motivated prosecution of Donald Trump. But even if you take that factor out of it, even if you take out the factor of the special counsel being inappropriately appointed to have the sprawling investigation that he did, you have to go to the idea that he was looking at specific crimes that were alleged against President Trump. Those specific crimes then turned into affirmative seeking of subpoenas to monitor phones. Isn't that what got Nixon in trouble in Watergate,
yeah,
spying on your political opponent? And so I think that Jack Smith is going to have an uphill road here, and there's going to have to be real explanations as to why he wasn't just investigating something in the past, but actively seemingly monitoring political opponents' phones seems to have potentially crossed the line big time.
Yeah, here's part of the letter from those 4 Republican senators to Pam Bondi, the head of the Department of Justice, the Attorney General. They write, as part of Jack Smith's weaponized witch hunt, the Biden DOJ issued subpoenas to several telecommunications companies in 2023 regarding our cell phone records, gaining access to the time, recipient, duration, and location of calls placed on our devices from January 4th, 2021 to January 7th, 2021. We have yet to learn of any legal predicate for the Biden Department of Justice issuing subpoenas to obtain these cell phone records. Would they have had to get a judge's approval to get those records, or is it just a subpoena from the Department of Justice?
Well, when you're getting telecommunication records, it's much easier than when you're going into somebody's home to search through their home, where you would have to get a search warrant. And so oftentimes telecommunication records are subject only to a subpoena, which is something that is in the discretion of the prosecutor that's involved. And so I think when we kind of step back and look at the big picture of what happens when you have prosecutors for one administration investigating a president from a former administration, you have to remember there are no 4th branches of government. There are no special prosecutors that fall outside of the legal system. The president of the United States is the chief prosecutor. And so President Biden, as much as he tried to distance himself from the actions of Jack Smith, he's responsible, and the entire administration is responsible. This is political opponents going after one another for allegations of politically related activity, and it's really deeply disturbing. And now I think the Democrats need to feel what it's like to have the shoe on the other foot.
Yeah, Jim Jordan is is the chair of the House Judiciary Committee. He's called a couple of Jack Smith's former associates in that pursuit for testimony and didn't get much. Listen.
What I do know is 2 guys who worked for him, 2 of his deputies, as part of the special counsel investigation, wouldn't answer all our questions. They took their 5th Amendment rights. They refused to answer a number of questions, like the sort of the fundamental question, was this a political exercise to go after President Trump? And they refused to answer that question.
So if it was not a political exercise to go after the president, wouldn't it be easy to answer that, Andrew?
Well, when you have Fifth Amendment rights being asserted, you have to be careful constitutionally not to presume guilt or to hold that against them.
Okay.
That said, when you're in political settings like you find in Congress where they're asking bigger political questions about the underlying issues and you're not asking those basic questions, I think that it leads people on the political side, not necessarily on the legal side as to whether they'll be convicted or not of a crime, but on the political side, it screams what the answer is. And taking the Fifth under those circumstances, while perhaps it legitimately protects them legally, it does nothing to protect them politically or in the eyes of the public. And so, again, we go back to the disturbing nature of what was going on behind closed doors throughout those investigations that then and now clearly were highly politicized.
Yeah. A couple of the senators are saying that Smith should lose his law license over this. We'll keep an eye on that case. Andrew Cherkasky, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.